This video is sponsored by Squarespace. This week, I received a rather intriguing package in the mail from one of my very generous patrons. Thank you so much, Brianne, by the way. Inside this absolutely massive box, we've got some retro board games, some miniatures, and some other interesting gifts. So I thought, instead of keeping this experience all to myself, why don't we do a quick little video today? We'll unbox this thing, take a look at what's inside, maybe talk about it a little bit, and at the end of the video, you can let me know what you think I should do with the stuff inside this box. So upon opening the box, we've got a bunch of individually wrapped gifts in bubble wrap. We've got some Pogs straight out of the 90s. And this is pretty wild because I actually remember having this exact same storage box when I was a kid that I kept my Pogs in. Unfortunately, I no longer have my original Pogs, so it was super cool to get all of these, especially in the same box that I kept mine in back in the 90s. I was thinking about it, and before Pokemon cards, before Magic cards, before miniatures and Dungeons and Dragons, I think Pogs were actually the first collectible game that I ever engaged with. I even remember having my own Pog maker where you could make your own Pogs out of whatever printed images you might have, so there was actually a hobby component to this game as well. Next up, we have a Phobos Strike Team from Kill Team, and this is the only non-retro thing in this package, but as you know, I have been collecting and painting a lot of Kill Teams lately, so I super appreciate this very thoughtful gift from Brianne. This is one of the Kill Teams I do not own yet, so I'm super happy to get these, and I think it'll be fun to paint these up in an original scheme in a future video. Finally, we get into some of the really rare and interesting stuff, the reason I thought I would make this video, and from the front of this box, you can probably tell what might be lower down in this box. So this is Keller's Keep. It is the first expansion for the original Hero Quest. And for its age, it looks to be in pretty good conditions. There's a little bit of water damage or something on the box, but the contents inside seem to be complete and in really good condition. It even comes with a bonus miniature inside, and wait, is this even a Hero Quest miniature? Kind of a cute miniature, honestly. Like a variant gargoyle or something, maybe it's, oh, Burger King, sick. And finally, at the bottom of the box, we get not only a complete in-box copy of Hero Quest in great condition, but we've also received a copy of Mutant Chronicles: Siege of the Citadel. It is apparently a similar game to Hero Quest, released around the same time. So that is it. That is everything in this massive box. Huge thank you once again to longtime patron Brianne. I really appreciate this package. So a little bit about my history with Hero Quest. I did have a copy at one point. I'm just not sure what happened to it. I bought my original copy at a garage sale sometime in the early 2000s, and I do remember playing it and enjoying it, but I also remember that the real utility of this game for me was just suddenly having access to a huge variety of fantasy miniatures for use in D&D. Back then, we didn't really have cheap options for D&D miniatures. There was nothing like Nalzers, there was nothing like Reaper Bones. So I remember that every miniature I acquired for my D&D campaign was really precious to me. It was pretty much single metal miniatures or plastic kits from places like Games Workshop. So we were talking like at least $5 a miniature back then, which was a lot more money back then as well. But anyway, you get the point. D&D miniatures were expensive and harder to get back then, so getting my hands on Hero Quest was a huge boon at the time. And I remember using all of these miniatures, especially the little pieces of furniture, throughout my dungeon mastering career in the 2000s. So it's just super cool and exciting for me to have a copy of this game back as an adult. And while I would like to unbox these a little bit more and talk about a little bit of my thoughts and feelings about Hero Quest, before we do that, I need to tell you about another quest that I've been going on recently. That's right, it's building a website using this video's sponsor, Squarespace. Squarespace is the all-in-one website and hosting platform that I've been using for a little bit over a decade now for all of my website needs. And it's super easy to use. You just pick from one of their fabulously designed pre-made templates, or let Squarespace guide you through the process of making your own custom template from scratch using their brand new feature, Squarespace Blueprint. No coding or technical knowledge required. I've been using my Squarespace website to host a gallery of my painted miniatures, all of my painting reference documents, as well as my online store, which I've been finding is super easy to add things to and manage, and accepts a variety of flexible payment options. So if you need a website, why not check out squarespace.com today for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/DanaHowell for 10% off your very first purchase of a website or domain. I'm sure I don't have that much insightful to say about HeroQuest that hasn't been said before already. There's so many great videos on the topic if you just search the word HeroQuest on YouTube. But if you've somehow never heard of HeroQuest, it is one of the original, maybe the original, dungeon crawling board game. It's sort of a D&D light experience. You play as one of 4 heroes. One player plays the dungeon master, one player plays Zargon, and you run through several missions, exploring the dungeon, disarming traps, hunting for treasure. And between missions, you can even upgrade your characters by buying gear for them from the armory. Notably, this game was a collaboration between Milton Bradley and Games Workshop, with the miniatures included being Games Workshop miniatures, and the game itself, the storyline, and the lore potentially even being set in the Warhammer Fantasy universe, with hints of things sprinkled throughout like the Empire, Chaos, and even the Femir. HeroQuest recently got a reboot of sorts from Hasbro, who I guess own Milton Bradley now, not surprising, with all new art and miniatures. And while this was something I had considered buying, I have to admit I was a bit disappointed when I learned that all of the rules, the missions, pretty much all of the text is apparently just the same as the original game, just without any of the connections to Warhammer. I will admit some of the sculpts look kind of cool, especially the new plastic furniture really tempts me. But honestly, if I'm going to play HeroQuest and you're not going to give me any new gameplay content, I mean, I get it, it's hard to improve on perfection. I would kind of rather play it in its original retro form with the retro art and retro miniatures, enjoying it as a piece of history with all the vague connections to Warhammer intact, and all the retro flavor of that era saturating the plastic and cardboard. With that said though, I am glad that the game got a reprint, and I'm really glad that a whole new generation will now have access to a game that was relegated to pretty much buying it on eBay. So I am kind of excited to paint this game up, maybe in a cute retro style, or maybe something more neon or vaporwave influenced, maybe something on the He-Man spectrum of colorful cartooniness. So let me know down in the comments if that's something you would enjoy seeing on the channel and how you think I should paint it. Next up, let's take a look at Mutant Chronicles Siege of the Citadel. And I admit this is a game I had never heard of until Brienne sent it to me. This is a similar game to HeroQuest that came out a few years later in 1993, and I was super surprised to learn that Mutant Chronicles was, / still is, I guess, its own entire franchise, made up of role-playing games, miniatures games, a collectible card game, video games, a live-action movie apparently, as well as this board game, which just recently got a remake on Kickstarter. So yeah, really surprised I've never heard of this franchise given that it's been around for so long and has so many products. The game seems pretty similar to HeroQuest, but notably, each player gets 2 characters to play instead of just 1. Kind of love that, to be honest. Instead of having a single board like HeroQuest, this one has multiple different tiles that are each arranged differently for each mission, with each map featuring the titular Citadel, this big cardboard thing, as part of its layout. Overall, pretty cool retro vibe, and I love how imposing this massive cardboard Citadel is on the tabletop. The artwork on the tiles and on the Citadel itself feel pulled straight out of that early 90s gross out culture that you see on a lot of kids' toys from the time. The artwork, the design style, even the color palette feel very Ninja Turtles influenced to me, complete with the uncomfortable racism / weird fetishization of East Asian culture that goes along with that era. Yikes. There's also definitely some strong early Warhammer 40k vibes here as well. Even the Citadel itself screams 40k to me. Keep in mind this game was published in 1993, the same year as 40k's second edition, and you can definitely see some crossover in terms of aesthetics. The main difference being that Mutant Chronicles is more of a near-future cyberpunk setting. You play massive corporations based on near-future versions of real-world countries and cultures, seemingly. And while there are space demons and magic that come from beyond space in this setting, similar to 40k, there are notably no aliens in this setting like 40k has. There are mutants though, as you can probably tell. So yeah, interesting time capsule. Some of the models definitely look like cheap Warhammer knockoff figures to me, and honestly I kind of love that about these. It makes me want to paint them up for that reason. So yeah, let me know if you want to see me paint some of these up in the future, or if you'd like to see me delve further into the Mutant Chronicles universe. So once again, thank you so much, Brienne, for sending all of this stuff over. I've been painting a lot of really modern 40k models on the channel recently, so unboxing this stuff and getting to talk about it has been a really nice palette cleanser. If you, like Brienne, would like to send me weird, interesting retro stuff to open up on the channel, you can send it to my PO box at this address right here. Don't say. Thank you so much once again to all of our lovely patrons for their ongoing monthly support. It really makes a huge difference. I appreciate it quite a lot. And aside from Brienne, this week I would especially like to thank Felix Q and Marla D. If you'd like to see your name up in the credits scrolling by right now, gain access to some bonus features like ad-free videos or our extremely inclusive exclusive Discord server, you can do so over at patreon.com/DanaHowell. And with that, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.